everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube, ActionX's premiere show where we talk about all things television. Normally we are reviewing stuff, whether that is reviewing episode by episodes of a currently running show, reviewing season by seasons of completed shows, or very long ahead shows, or doing quick impressions. Today we are doing a season review for Nancy Drew season 2, which is just wrapped on the CW last week, so now it's all available to binge on the CW app. So if you have yet to discover it or you yet to watch it, here you go. So this is a non-spoiler free hold on. This is a spoiler-free review, so there will be no spoilers here. Anything as per rules, anything beyond the first episode is off limits. I will only be talking about anything first episode related, so you know what you're going into, as well as what you can expect in the remaining season 2. However, if you're unaware, we've already reviewed the entirety of season 2 already on youtube.com/actionx. All 18 episode reviews for season 2 have been up online, so if you do decide to go in and watch every single episode, you can check out our reviews after you watch an episode to see my full thoughts on it, which includes all deep down spoiler talk. So hopefully you'll stick around there. We're also doing a season 3 predictions video because Nancy Drew has been renewed for season 3, which will be premiering this fall on the CW, but more about that next week. This week, however, we'll be talking about season 2 itself, so get ready. So, boiled down, hands down, one sentence: is Nancy Drew season 2 worth the binge? Is it worth watching it? Is it a worthy successor to the season 1 that I thought was pretty good at the end of the day? I don't think it was anything to write home about. I don't think it was the finest the CW had to offer, in my opinion, but I thought they did a pretty good job overall. So for season 2, there was, I want to say, a lot of expectations on it, since Nancy Drew was one of the, I think it was like one of the only few shows on the network besides Batwoman, unless I'm forgetting one, that COVID-19 affected a lot of things last year, and the original planned season 1 finale had to be reshuffled into season 2. So season 2, at parts at times, is morally as a season 1 conclusion, whether that is more of an expander, so to speak. You feel the elements of it being season 1, but then at times it just switches over to a season 2 story. And I'll definitely give a shout out to the writers and the team, the creative team, who managed to morph the final episodes for season 1 into season 2. And it all made sense. Like, at first it felt like it stood out like a sore thumb, like here was the hard stop, end of season 1, and then we were beginning with season 2. But then when we got into, like, by the very end, I won't spoil anything about that, but it all made sense to how they form the ending of season 1 to the season 2 starter, and how it all made sense in the end. So I'll give them credit on that, because again, we were off for like a lot of months, so they had time to work on it to see how they could adjust things and get things back on tune. So when we were able to see it last January, it all made sense in the end. So the premiere of season 2 definitely felt more like a season 1 continuation at times, because normally when for this, a story ends when the story ends. You see, for us, we had the start of the Aglaria stuff at the very end of season 1. It was supposed to end off there, and then everything we saw a little bit later on was meant to be, oh, this is all the stuff we're setting up for season 2. So going into season 2 itself, now goes to the critical point, as we're being very vague here and being very, I'm trying not to spoil anything. I view season 2 at times as this, they very much play with our expectations in a good way, and also sometimes a very not so good way, I in my opinion, where okay, before we continue, like, the first 4 or 5 episodes definitely are season 1 continuations, and then they kind of left things off on stuff for us to kind of, oh, this is stuff we're going to see down the line for season 2. And then some of those stuff, it just felt like, oh, it would have been cool to see more of this or more elements played to that, but we focus on something else. Now, honestly, it's a flip side of a coin. Like, oh, I am happy they're not pulling on that core just yet, but I'm also not happy that they tease us with that, but we don't get the follow. So it's kind of like pardon my language here, a cock tease for something that we don't get a lot of. We don't. But I am very happy they continued on a more singular story, so to speak. They continued their story as is. They weren't trying to, like, you know, make it more episodic. They still kept the serialized format. I won't say more about what element I'm talking about, but if you have watched season 2 already, you know what I'm talking about. So I'll give it there to the story. I definitely felt at times that this felt like a natural evolution, where sometimes shows would, when they jump from season to season, it would feel like a hard stop and like, okay, here's the next thing we're doing, and we're gonna just continue on that sort. And then for season two, well, more specifically the cores, as I call them, like season one's finale core and then season two's proper core, I I felt like this was the next natural evolution. I definitely did feel like we were continuing the story, and this was more the organic way to approach it. I wasn't really happy with a couple decisions this season, in terms of like just overall character directions. Maybe season three will hopefully rectify things, but in terms of like just this season alone, I wasn't happy with a couple of them. Some of them got a little bit annoying at times, and I still enjoyed most aspects of it. I just wasn't entirely a fan of some others. Onto the characters this season. As I normally do, I talk about the characters and where they were progressing with this season. Again, no spoilers beyond the first episode, so don't worry about me tallying anything. You're safe. My boy Ace. Gotta start out with Ace. Come on. I love Ace so much. I'm still very disappointed, sorry about that we have not yet gotten the Ace episode. It has been far too long. It has been now 2 seasons. We've got half an episode with Ace last season, and this season we got something big to Ace, but it wasn't a proper Ace origins episode. I always wanted to see like a full Ace episode, similar to like, this is Nancy's show. She gets it all the time. We got a Best episode last year, and I believe we got a Nick one last year as well. I don't entirely remember. It's been a while. I think George got one too, but everyone got one except for Ace. And Ace is, next to Nancy, the stand-up character of the show. I love him so much. He's just, again, I'm very happy that they decided not to explore and I actually, no, I was going to spoil something, but I can't. I really can't. Like, it's very difficult, but they do something cool with Ace, like a little bit of a callback from the start of this entire journey, and I really want to talk about it, but I can't. Anyway, moving forward. So they definitely give Ace a lot more to do this season, in my opinion. I think, in terms of just me comparing levels of development, I think Ace got the most next to Nancy, in my opinion. I think he definitely had a lot of stuff going on personally, and initially, again, it was one of those things like, I didn't expect this, I didn't expect that, and the way it all paid off was cool. It was very fun to see more sides of Ace this season, as well as a couple of new questions about where things could go from here. Stuff I can't talk about yet. Next week I will. But for Ace this season, I think they did a pretty good job with him, continuing his character, and they definitely gave him more to work with. So that's a plus there. Nick, it's very tricky for Nick. I think Nick and Bess this season definitely felt like the odd ones out, in my opinion. I feel like Nancy, George, and Ace were the forefronts this season. Nick and Bess to get their own stuff to do, but Nick was definitely, like, I think he was the second lowest tier in terms of like getting some character development going, where season one definitely had, there was so much he had to prove. His entire theme for last season is redemption and trying to make himself better and trying to fix his mistakes of the past and trying to get a chance to move forward. This one he does, but mostly, for most of the first half, in my opinion, he definitely serves more as the benefactor. As end of season one, he cashes in all the bonds, he buys the claw. He's rich. He's a rich guy now. So for looking now in season two, there wasn't really a lot you could do with it. He was mostly supporting. He definitely got a little bit of like a bigger boost at the end of the season, but it wasn't really much to like help him elevate even further on the development list. Those were definitely planting seeds for hopefully at some point in the future. I'm sorry, there's a mosquito on my light source and it's annoying me. But I still really much enjoy Nick. His relationship with George definitely stood out this season, and how much, despite everything he's been through, he's still a sweet guy. He wanted a stable relationship with Nancy. That didn't happen. And we got to see some lingering effects of that this season with that whole repercussion. But everything was fine. Everything handled out just great, and I cannot wait to see. Hopefully, they'll get to do next with the things they left for him in the end of season two. I'm definitely interested to see where they'll take him next season. But for now, this season, they didn't give him much to do until the end, but they definitely kept him around and kept him at least his story engaging for us as viewers. On to Bess. Bess, definitely felt like the odd one out this season. Definitely did. I'm sorry. I love her. Her character is great. She got a lot of focus in the first season, and then similarly, the scripts for the last episodes of the first season and beginning of season 2 definitely gave her that thing to work with, and there was stuff they were exploring in the second half, but mostly at times they were just kind of like relegating her to other roles, and like again, like Nick, like supporting roles. Like she would have a storyline episode maybe once in a while, but normally she would just be helping out on the main case, like whatever the big thing was for that week, she would be helping out, and that was it. We don't really get to see much of the. I feel like first half of season 2 best definitely stood out more than second half of season 2 best, where one was proactive, the other one was just actively helping. And hopefully, when we do get back to season 3, we'll be able to like continue off the stuff that were left. I glitched out there, left hanging at the second half of the first half of season 2. But overall, she's still the same old best. She still has the same old energy. She's very much funny at times, and hopefully things just turn out better for her as a character for next season. But she will definitely kind of like once you get more into like the second half of things, you won't really get to see much of what's going on with her. George, next to Ace, she had a lot going on this season. Not much into the starting line of things. I think definitely she was just still being more like eye batting with her relationship with Nick finally developing, and then at the time them finding Declaria. The theme of George this season was her fighting time. That was her whole spiel this season as. I won't spoil what happened in the second half of the season, the proper season 2 half of things. But definitely there was more of a prevalence of like George never had time on her side, and she's always fighting something against the clock. And she's always picking the right moves of things. She's definitely less like the George attitude is still there, but it very much has softened a little bit where she is like a little bit more appreciative of her world, her friends, her family, her work style, that sort of thing. But there's a big thing. There's like a big I won't say but a big duality in her character this season, and it was fun to get to see that play. And the actress, I believe her name is, damn, I forgot the name as always. But it was a very fun plot point to begin. Oh my god, I got 2 flies in my house. Jesus Christ. I apologize. Anyway, I definitely felt she had a lot to play with this season, and I was a bit disappointed at the end of the journey. I think they kind of fell flat on that, like the whole thing of things, in my opinion at least. Maybe they'll change things in season 3. Who knows? Again, can't say much about that, but it definitely her entire journey in season 2 definitely opened her eyes up to a more traditional view of like everything. As she was very specific, now she's trying to transition to a little bit more transitional and traditional. So we'll see more of that later on. And as for Nancy, this was definitely her season where it's like she was fighting the dark side a lot, and I don't mean like a Star Wars type thing. I don't mean like anything like that. She was definitely fighting the dark side in herself. Because last season there was that revelation that Nancy isn't a Drew. She was actually a Hudson. She was Ryan Hudson's daughter. And this season we get to play a lot of the chords for that as she starts to realize the repercussions of being a Hudson, and what does that mean for herself as an identity, and what does that mean herself as a person. All of those elements come into play this season, and definitely it all stood out. And a couple things were like kind of questionable, and then they got answered, and then he opens up. Well, then does that mean like was she always with those inhibitions, or was it just the amplification? I can't explain more than that, but there is definitely that finality line to things, and I do definitely like the direction she went in. I was a little bit left down to how things panned out. I appreciated how everything came together, but the overall decision, I'm like, this kind of undermines a couple things, but whatever. I can live with it, in my opinion. But they do introduce hold on, let me finish Nancy first. But she very much stands out this season, as last season was her coming back into her own. This season was fighting of what she could become, and I definitely appreciate that theme this season, as there was just so many elements in the game for her this season. And I'm starting to slowly admit, like, maybe this entire show will take place in the first. Actually, never mind. I'm gonna stop there. I'll stop there. But I really enjoyed her this season, and shout out to Kennedy McMahon who played her. Another great job for you this season. Bravo. On to like some other miscellaneous stuff before I wrap it up, because again, this is a spoiler-free review. I can't talk about much. We do get a ton of new characters in this season. 3 of which are premiering in the first episode of the season. 2 of them being the twins, not the Maximoff twins from Age of Ultron, or now just in general in the MCU. Twins Gil and damn, I forgot her other name there. Gil and Ashley. I think that's her name. Ashley? No, I forgot. I know it's Gil and the other one. I think it's Ashley. I could be wrong, or Madison. I don't remember. I know I just talked about this last week on the finale review, but I'm already drawing a blank here. I apologize. They're the new characters this season, and they definitely. It's another game of like expectation of like you expect this thing from them, and you see a little bit of elements in that later on, but you don't really get that in the end, which I'm very glad. These two. They are almost at the exact same age as the rest of the Drew crew, so you assume like, oh, they're going to join them at some point. Believe me, they play with that notion a lot, and it comes to a question a lot. So, stay tuned for there. And also, the head chief from last season, the head detective, the captain from last season, he's not in this season anymore. I think he got revoked or something. And we got a new detective, Detective Tamura. He takes over. He definitely takes things more on a more critical, more like a more mature method this season, and he's a bit of a stuck ass, but his stuck ass moments kind of stick out, and make him kind of like, oh, he's kind of a charm to be around. So I'll give him credit there. And then yeah, that's it. Ryan returns. They give him something new this season. Definitely trying to redeem him in a way. I'll say that they're definitely trying to like turn Ryan around. Mr. Drew. I'm a little bit more positive this season to him. I think he is starting to grow on me. I still would have preferred Freddie Prinze Jr. to play the character, but whatever. I'm totally fine with how they turn it out. Sorry. But yeah, I think that's mostly about it. A few miscellaneous things that I still want an episode down the line where we just wonder what the hell the Claw's up to when the Drew crew's not around, when they're like, they all leave to go solve the mystery. I just want to see how they survive without them. I'm just really curious. And I really get to hope that also, yeah, we get a episode 69 this season, but it's not really the 69. We're not even close to it, but we got one in theory, and I'm just down for it. I loved it. I'll just say that there. But overall, I think Nancy Drew season 2 is definitely it's a worthwhile continuation to the Nancy Drew story. Definitely has some lingering fallbacks that doesn't work out at the end for it, but I do definitely believe most of the elements they introduced this season, as well as wrapping up season 1 and then setting up season 2 in its entirety, they definitely worked out, and finally getting a proper season finale for Nancy Drew that was meant to be the finale. Definitely sets up the stage for an interesting season 3, but they continued the same world. They matured it, they evolved it, and I can't wait to see where they go next from here. So I'm going to give this season 1.5 thumbs up. So I would really recommend it, so go check it out. So if you already watched season 1 of Nancy Drew, go ahead. There's now 18 more episodes for you to watch. I think it's going to be on HBO Max towards the end of the year before season 3 starts. I think that's the terminology for it. So yeah, but for now, you can catch the entirety of Nancy Drew season 2 on the CW app, the whole 18 season, all free, ads of course, but you can catch it later on this year on HBO Max. But again, let me know in the comments below, what did you think of the second season of Nancy Drew in its entirety? No spoilers, please. So even if you watch the season, please, no spoilers. Keep it free for the people who have yet to discover it. And I think that's going to do it for me, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX, reviewing the second season of Nancy Drew, spoiler free. If you want to see more What's in the Tube. Besides, first of all, please subscribe if you haven't yet. But if you want to see more of us talk about television stuff, we're currently doing Walker episode reviews each and every Friday mornings after a brand new episode, on Thursday nights on the CW, or free the next day on the CW app. We're doing also High School Musical, the musical, the series, season 2 episode reviews each and every Saturday mornings after a brand new episode on Fridays on Disney Plus. Last week on our Monday time slot, now the Monday time slot, we actually uploaded on Wednesday because rendering and buffering issues. So that happened to me. Also, my throat is dying. Give me a second while I drink some tea. Thank you. We released our 200th episode of What's in the Tube, called The Gotham Experiment. It's basically it's a new experimental type of formatting we're doing. Nothing. It's more of like a panel discussion, so to speak. In that one, I'll give you a brief spiel. I've already watched all of Gotham a few years back, and George just watched the first and 100th episode, so he only watched the beginning of the series and the ending of the series, and then I fill him in on the details. We just talk about the show as well as the lore behind Batman and stuff like that. It's a pretty interesting conversation. It's over an hour. It's in almost 4K. It's our most prettiest episode yet, so please go check that out. That is a very monumental episode, and hopefully will catapult us to the next 200 episodes. Hopefully down the line, but until then, but however, right now, if you don't care about Nancy Drew, you're in luck. We still have one more video to post. Next week will be our season 3 predictions video, where we'll be predicting everything about Nancy Drew's upcoming 3rd season coming this fall on the CW on Friday nights. I will have no life. However, sorry about that. That kind of sounded a little bit disappointing for me. But again, if you want to know what's coming up after that, because Nancy Drew, our coverage will be ending up next week, we are going to be hopefully producing a slate of the channel next week, Monday or Tuesday, which we'll be talking about all things about the summer of 2021 for ActionX, which will include an update on our What's in the Tube content schedule, so check that out. But again, if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube. Please subscribe if you have not yet. Like, favorite, share this review if you want to. It helps us get us out to other members of the Drew Crew fandom who has yet to discover us. It helps us beat up that YouTube algorithm that ever hates me so much, and as well as sharing is always for free on the internet. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with any sort of updates for the channel. Ring the bell for when our next Nancy Drew episode of review comes out, which is normally every Thursday mornings. But until next time, please again, you can binge the entire Nancy Drew season 2 on not yet, on the CW app. You have all the episode reviews, all 18 of them, which include spoilers, there, so you can join along for the experience. So you have that covered. So, but until next time, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.